Hi everyone, welcome back to From the Diving Board. I'm Charlie and I am coming at you today from my bookshelf. Today I'm coming at you with a slightly different format. We're ditching the video essay format for a day and I'm going to be sharing all of the long form media that I've consumed recently instead of doom scrolling. So let's get involved. Let's get into it. Let's do it. From the Diving Board is a show hosted by me, Charlie Chats, dedicated to decoding digital culture by unpacking the hidden politics behind the screen. I'm going to come at you so frank that this video is totally because I haven't had time to do proper research for a video essay. Life is coming at me hard recently. There's a lot happening, like nothing bad. It's just been really busy. And I've taken on so much more than I possibly can chew, but that's okay. That's how I thrive. So instead of giving you a video essay, I wanted to give you something because I really do want to commit to this fortnightly upload, or at least somewhere in between. And so I wanted to share some of the things that I've been reading, particularly because there are so many articles that I come across when I'm filming these video essays and when I'm researching these video essays that just don't make the cut because they don't fit into my script. But there's so much that I've read and haven't shared, and so much that I actually have shared, but just in the show notes, or I've only briefly mentioned it in my video essays. So I wanted to just create this new forum where we can share the things we've been reading because I've deleted TikTok. I'm off TikTok officially. I hate it. It's not for me. I have dabbled in TikTok before. I just find that everyone is doing the same thing. And it's not like that on any other platform. But I find the way that the trends occur is that you have this trend and then everyone hops on, and the only way for you to become viral or to get notoriety is to hop on this same trend or to say something extremely controversial. And you just don't have the nuance to be able to unpack what you mean, and people are just really angry. Like, everyone is so mad on TikTok. What is going on over there? Like, everyone just needs to relax. I decided to just ditch the app and it was one of the best things I did. However, I was getting to a good algorithm, which takes some time. I feel like TikTok, you need to work for it. The content I was seeing was media I consumed this week instead of doom scrolling. And I was like, that is so cool. I love this. In all transparency, I still doom scroll. In fact, this morning I was actually just like checking myself, being like, you're about to film a video about how you're consuming media other than doom scrolling. You're still doom scrolling. You're just consuming this media on top of it. So that was ironic. I really would love to wake up and read a book, or wake up and go on Substack rather than Instagram. But training that part of your brain is so hard when these social media algorithms are literally designed like game slot machines, and you're basically going on the pokies when you wake up in the morning. That can't be good for your brain. If we actually think about that, imagine you wake up and immediately there's a slot machine next to your bed. Like, this is literally the same vibe. Like, the dopamine rush, the way that the algorithm is hacking the way that we think, the gambling mentality, it's just a little crazy. So let's get into it. I'm going to recommend around 10 long form content items. So whether it be articles or books that I've read recently. How old school is this? Like, for a long form content video, I have written notes, analog style. The green highlight is really actually quite like disgruntling. I don't know why I did that. I'm really annoyed at myself with that. It's got to be the worst highlight color. Like, if a friend was giving me which highlight color do you want in primary school, I am not picking green. I'm picking pink. I'm even picking orange above green. So anyway, I don't know what was going through my brain at that time. But first on the list is Taboo by Hannah Ferguson. I gave it a 4 out of 5. My criterion is really random, depends on the mood of the day. So, I could also give it a 5. I really enjoyed this book. I found it to be a very easy read. Essentially, the concept of the book is splitting up different taboos that people don't talk about in society into different categories, and then kind of unpacking those taboos and why they're taboos. And 9 times out of 10, it comes out that they really shouldn't be taboos, and that a lot of these taboos, well, I take a shot every time I say taboo, are not spoken about because they involve themes of misogyny, the patriarchy, female empowerment, and they just aren't considered kosher in society. I really enjoyed the way that blended kind of this research voice as well as a anecdotal lens as well, and she gave a lot of personal stories to match up with these statistics. It's not always done well, and what I love about Taboo is it was such an easy read. I felt that Hannah's voice came through really clearly and she was really likable and interesting and funny. I think my favorite parts were actually when she was talking about her personal anecdotes, but I also am a big fan of Hannah Ferguson. I listen to her podcast, Big Small Talk, and I'm a follower of her media company, Cheek Media. If you're not Australian, you're probably wondering who this is. Actually, no, I think if you're not Australian, you probably do know her. She's got a fairly decent following on social media, but if you don't know her, you definitely should go and check her out and read her book. And I also really respected that she acknowledges she's only 26. I think she wrote this when she was 25, so literally my age. And she acknowledges that she's going to make mistakes and that, you know, she's not necessarily going to stand by every single thing that she says in future. But I kind of liked that. I liked that she didn't take herself too seriously. The next one's also a little bit more academic, it was sort of a non-fiction, and that is, I actually do have the book this time. Oh. This one is Deficit by Emma Holton. She's a Danish feminist. I'm sorry, girlfriend, but this looks like the densest book in the world. I quite liked the graphic design, but beyond that, we're giving nothing. We're giving textbook, we're giving university scholar. What did gravitate with me was the title, Deficit and How Feminist Economics Can Change Our World. Enjoyed that, enjoyed the concept of that. Basically, it is about going through history and looking at economic policies and systems and theories that shape how we understand economics and society today, and how dominant economics is as a social science in our understanding of the world and in politics as well. And then looking at it from a feminist lens and seeing how minimized female and women's voices were in that entire narrative, unpacking concepts of the rational person and households, etc. Because women's voices and women's existence wasn't really considered by a lot of these theorists, the work that they contributed to society, like care, nurture, mothering, social work, support work, isn't given a significant value under these economic systems. I really enjoyed this book. Again, I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5, but I do actually have a tangible reason for not giving it a 5. I found that she established the problem really, really well, which I really found fascinating. She even spoke about the witch trials, which, as you know, if you watch my content, I'm a big fan. Not a fan of the witch trials, a fan of that topic of conversation, okay? Like, don't get that twisted. So yeah, I found the way that she explained everything and actually quite dense economic concepts to be really engaging and interesting, but she kind of lost me at the end. Like, I was kind of like, okay, what are you going to do about it? Like, where's the solution? And honestly, she probably did come up with a solution. I just got a little bit bored. And that's probably a me problem, not a her problem. I even tagged the book. That's how you know she's going to make an appearance in some videos. One of my favorite concepts that she covers is this idea that when we're not working under capitalism, we're supposed to be enjoying leisure time. But for so many women, when we're not working, we are caring. But under most economic systems, that's leisure time. Okay, next one I literally just finished. You will have seen I spoke about it on my Instagram, charlie.chats. You should definitely go and follow. Prima Facie by Susie Miller. This book was really, really great. I'm so skint with my ratings because this really should be a 5. Oh, but it wasn't. It was a 4 out of 5. But okay, if you haven't heard about this one, it's basically a play and then this is the novel adaptation. Apparently the play is absolutely phenomenal. So I haven't seen the play. I've only obviously read the novel. But the concept is you have this British barrister working in London. She's a criminal defense barrister. So she's defending everyone, you know. Specifically, she defends a lot of assault perpetrators. The plot goes that she ends up becoming a victim and she goes through the system herself. Now, as someone who studied law and has been very, very interested in the shortcomings of the legal system and areas of reform specifically in relation to assault, a lot of this was pointing out things that I was already aware of, but I do think that the way that it was written was really quite enticing and engaging and done in quite a powerful way to engage people who aren't aware of the system. There were certain court moments where I was hoping they'd go into the nitty-gritty of evidence law, but obviously they didn't because that would be a textbook and normal people don't want to read that. I don't know if this is a hot take. I found her character a little irritating. only because I found her to be a bit unbelievable. And maybe this is just me being naive and hoping that people who practice criminal defense law and are criminal defense barristers aren't like this, but I found it to be kind of crazy that she wouldn't have ever considered the experience of a victim of assault before. This will make sense to people who have read it, but it's almost like she only really realizes the shortcomings in the system when she has to go through it herself, which obviously as a narrator in a novel is a powerful way of telling a story when you have these two extremes. Like, she starts out being in defense of the system, a firm believer of the justice system, and that whatever happens, justice will find its way. And by the end of it, she realizes the experience of a victim is just absolutely atrocious. And yeah, I won't give any spoilers, but basically her faith in the system is lost. And I just found it to be really unbelievable that she would have never considered the experience of victim. Even speaking to her friends, like, I don't know a single girlfriend that hasn't had a friend at least have some sort of experience in this regard, which is harrowing and terrible and awful. But it was just like, I wonder where this person comes from that she just can't seem to fathom the experience until she goes through it herself. Maybe I'm being nitpicky. I don't know. I think I need to see the play because it was really well written. I did really enjoy it. I read it like I was doing late nights reading this book. I was not at the club. I was reading prima facie. Okay, so I'm getting cozy. I'm wearing my trackies. I say this in every single episode. It's getting boring and I need to stop, but it is getting so cold. Like this weekend in my town, you know, when it's not everyone will understand this because where I live is particularly cold in the winter, but we have this beautiful weather where it's sunny, but it is icy. Like, if you live kind of near the mountains, I think you'll understand. Like, it is so icy this weekend and I feel like it just shifted overnight. I went for a run with my brother. I have been training for a half marathon, guys. I know. I've been hating, look, quarter life crisis, but look, I don't think I actually hated on people who did it. I was just saying it's a phenomenon and I'm walking right into the phenomenon. I am the phenomenon. Like, people will study me as an example. On this run, I swear to God, I did not warm up. Like, that is crazy. We did almost 13 kilometers. I was a little red in the face after, which is unusual because usually I look like a tomato. I was like, okay, where's my jacket? Like, as soon as we finished, that is crazy. And we were going pretty slow. Anyway, trackies are on. But yeah, let's get into the substacks. The first I actually did quote in my skinny video. One of the articles that I implore everybody to read is So You're Skinny, What Else by Louisa from All Over the Place on Substack. I found it to be a really timely reminder of just how much energy thinking about our bodies as women and skinniness and trying to achieve all these unrealistic beauty standards, how much time that consumes of our day without being patronizing or condescending or annoying. I thought it was well written and easy to follow, so I enjoyed that one. Oh, this Substack piece I found the other day, it was so beautiful. It's called And Life Goes On. I restacked it. Look at me. I'm a Substack user these days. It was a really beautiful piece about how sometimes the hardest things to go through is that experience of you being in pain or suffering and everyone else around you is going about their lives like nothing happened, and how, while yes, that can be sometimes one of the most harrowing experiences because it feels like the world should stop, you know, if you're suffering or if something terrible's happened to you, how possibly could the world just keep moving? And yet that experience of the world keeping on moving can get you through this hardship because it helps you to remind you that you can keep moving too, and that life will go on in a positive way rather than in a negative way. I haven't really read a beautifully written piece on Substack in a while. Oh my God, I feel like half the things I read these days, I'm like, did a human write that? I don't know. I actually don't think so. But another article I'm going to recommend, this one's not on Substack. This one's on In These Times, and I quoted it in my last video on gossip by Silvia Federici, who is obviously someone I've been quoting all the time recently. Basically, her research is just so fascinating to me. She's written a lot on the witch trials and how it sort of entrenches gender norms and gender essentialist ideologies about women and women's roles in Western societies, particularly in the context of rising feminism, where roles, regulation, and order become a lot more significant in terms of our culture. But I think that her work relating the witch trials to the present has just been so interesting to me recently, because I think it shows just how deep-rooted misogyny and patriarchy is in our culture. This article that she wrote was titled "How the Demonization of Gossip is Used to Break Women's Solidarity," and it essentially unpacks how these witch trials, European witch trials, really influenced our demonization of gossip and women's talk and women's idle talk and the idea of women having friends. It was fascinating, so interesting, more of a historical deep dive, less of an easy to read piece. It's definitely easy to read, but it's kind of one you got to sit down and like take your time to go through if you're wanting a bit of a deep dive. So I would highly recommend that one. Next one is from The Atlantic. This one's by Caitlin Tiffany, and I spoke about it in a video ages ago on performative reading. This was the article that really sparked that video, which I think a lot of people took the wrong way, actually. I've been meaning to kind of address it. Like, I don't need to address it as if it's like a problem, because I still stand by what I said. I think people just misunderstood some areas, which is also fair enough, because I think it was one of my 4th or 5th videos ever, so I might not have communicated what I meant as clearly as I intended. The video itself was an exploration of performative reading and how we're seeing a lot more celebrities showcase their life offline, and how this life offline and digital detox culture is going to become a bit more of a trend, because it's so easy to be online. It's so easy to doom scroll, but actually really quite hard to disengage. And if you're able to disengage and stay relevant, i.e. being a celebrity disengaging and still being relevant, that is almost this like marker of elitism. The point of the video was more just to show that this rise in performative reading, or this rise in showcasing the things that we're doing offline, like reading, online, is potentially the subtle beginnings of us romanticizing life offline more and more and more as we become more and more and more chronically online. And the irony of that. And I think a lot of people thought that I was criticizing people who read, and that was absolutely not what I was talking about. Other thing I wanted to clarify with that video, I spoke about social media a lot in the context of declining literacy rates. And I think that I could have been clearer on education having a significant role in this, and education funding, particularly in the US, and the decline in literacy rates is obviously not put down just to social media. However, this article, it's called A Radical Approach to Reclaiming Your Attention. The reason why I found it to be so interesting and why I created the whole video out of it was because basically Caitlin Tiffany did a little bit of an investigative journalism, which I love. She went to a digital detox class, essentially. It was a class you could go to in the US, or a short course. I actually think it might have been a short course. It cost hundreds of US dollars, and you would go and they'd basically teach you how to not be addicted to your phone, how to reclaim your attention. Caitlin Tiffany was alluding to this idea that if it is true that the only way to actually disconnect from your phone, the only way to break this phone addiction is to spend hundreds of dollars on a specific course, wouldn't that create such a dystopian, capitalistic Hunger Games vibe where only the elite are able to break their phone addictions, and then everyone else who can't afford the course can't break that phone addiction? I just found the concept so interesting. Someone needs to write a novel on it. And I think another concept that came out of that article that I found really fascinating is the attention economy, and how everyone now is fighting for our attention online. Not even necessarily money. I think in the past, money was power. It absolutely still is. But attention is also power, specifically now. Okay, well, that is actually all my recommendations. That was not 10 by any stretch of the imagination, but it was the top 7, I think, long form media content that I wanted to recommend. And let me know if you're interested in this being kind of a regular thing where I just kind of like have a little chit chat, discuss what I've been reading, because I feel like these videos are firstly a lot easier for me to film. I do have a really exciting video coming. Well, it's in the very early stages, but it is coming up. It's in the works, and I'm really excited. I think I had a little bit of a creative rut there. I think this is actually really quite hard when you're like doing full-time work. You have other, goals and things happening on outside, and then to come up with ideas that you actually feel proud of. When you're a perfectionist like me, it can be a little bit tricky, and I never want to put out something that I'm not totally proud of, or that I'm not 100% standing by. If you want to catch up with me while I'm not on YouTube, you can always follow my Instagram. I'm off TikTok now, just wasn't vibing with it, but I only had like 2 followers anyways, so I don't think many people will miss me. Somehow, something tells me I'm not going to be missed. Crazy. Love you guys. Thank you so much for sticking around. Thank you so much for all your support. I'm just honestly baffled by every day how many new people come by and subscribe or follow or rate my podcast 5 stars. All of these little tiny things add up, and they really, really, really make the difference and make it significant for me, because the more people we can have in this community, the more time I can actually dedicate to this. Something I find just so amazing is that I can just nerd out and like do a massive deep dive on a random topic, and people will watch, and people are like, oh my God, I've been thinking about this too. And I'm like, oh my God, we're all connected, guys. It's crazy. It's the flattening of culture. It's the flattening of culture. We're all thinking the same thing because we're all being fed it covertly through the algorithm. Kidding. Anyway, right now I'm being one of those British YouTubers. Like, I'm giving Zoella with this little speech. And I often cut these little speeches out because I cringe back when I watch them. But because of that, my gratitude isn't always conveyed. So thanks, guys. I'll see you in my next video.